anything else, and gazed into mine intensely as we panted against each other.
"Happy fucking New Year."
He breathed against my lips. I smiled against his lips and let one quiet, breathless chuckle slip through. "It certainly is," I replied honestly.
At work's point of view, it was a pretty fucking good day. I jerked off 3 times in the shower after my girl left. I couldn't fucking help it. It's not easy having a throbbing erection for 5 hours straight, especially when the cause of it is far too encouraged by the feel of it against her to push you away. She was acting a whole lot like she wanted me to take her. And if it were any other girl in my room kissing me like that pre-Bella, I would have stripped them down and fucked them right against that wall. But I didn't want to fuck my girl. She deserved so much more than to just be fucked. She deserved to be made love to. And I had no way of knowing if I could ever be that motherfucker, but the new foreign emotion that I spent my night showering her in gave me hope that it was possible. I allowed myself one laugh at my expense when I realized that I was the one in the pair that wasn't ready yet. Of course, she could feel her love for me without any doubts to that fact. I spent the rest of my day basically waiting for her to come back. The tugging was somewhat eased when I wasn't watching her from afar, but I could still feel it there. The need to have her beside me and touching me. I wanted to take that goddamn ring off my neck and wear it the way it was meant to be worn when two people were exclusive and in love. But I didn't fucking know yet. I was wishing whoever created the damn thing had come up with a way to wear it that said too emotionally retarded to feel it back, but really fucking wants to. Then I was wondering what kind of killer fucking profit that line would make in the greeting card industry. I tried to spend my day downstairs to pass the time, but Daddy C had a hangover. He was sulking in his study and trying to hide that fact, but I knew better. He always hid when he got a hangover. I wanted to give him some of my girl's fucking fantastic hangover remedy, but figured it would rouse too many suspicions for my own comfort. I efficiently dodged Emmett while he was playing some new video game he got for Christmas. I did spend a little time on schoolwork since it was starting back up the next day. I cringed at the thought of starting the new year without my Volvo if my grades dropped. By the time my girl finally came at 10, I was growing restless and feeling really fucking tired from not sleeping the night before. I flung the door open and smiled at the sight of her as the tugging oddly both grew and subsided simultaneously. Her big brown eyes were shining when they met mine, and she had the big grin on her face. And when I finally tore my gaze away from her happy face, I realized that the shiny fucking curls had made a welcome reappearance. I ushered her inside out of the cold impatiently, not even waiting to close the door, before I pulled her to me and took her lips with mine. She smiled against them and returned my kiss joyfully as our tongues finally met. I crushed her body to me tightly, plunging one hand into her shiny curls, and sighing as the tugging was almost completely dissipated and replaced with a surge of the new foreign emotion. I ended the kiss before it could escalate into another painful 5-hour throbbing erection incident. She unloaded my meal onto the bed and moved to make her way to the sofa, but I grabbed her arm. "Sit with me tonight," I implored when she faced me, knowing that the tugging would be nearly fucking unbearable if I had to watch her across the room on the sofa all night. Her smile grew wider, and she nodded enthusiastically, making all those shiny fucking curls bounce around her face and neck. Relieved, I flopped down onto the bed and began uncovering all my dishes, while my girl removed her hoodie, wearing a dark sweater that revealed a whole 2 centimeters more of her skin, and retrieved one of her books from the shelf. She sat beside me while I ate, telling me about her day with Alice and me. We spent some time discussing our suspicions about Carlisle and me. Alice seemed shocked when I pointed out the parallel business trips. She gaped at me as I popped a piece of fucking delicious ham into my mouth.
"You don't think?"
she trailed off incredulously. I snickered and shook my head at her naivety as the wheels started turning in her head. It was rather comical to me that everyone hadn't noticed yet. She spent the rest of the meal convincing me that Esme was perfect for Carlisle. I watched as her big brown eyes lit up at the thought of it. I wasn't fucking protesting. She was far better than any of the nurses at the hospital that were so hugged up on his nuts he could barely breathe. After I had finished the meal, I thanked her with a soft kiss, caressing her shiny curls away from her face as I took her bottom lip in between mine. I let the foreign emotion surge into the kiss as it grew, showing her whatever mine was, and still fucking basking at the feel of it. When I pulled away, she was smiling at me widely. I basked in that shit a little too. We were both pretty fucking tired, so we got dressed for bed quickly. Once the light was out, I turned over and crushed my girl against me tightly, bunching her curls up overhead, and burying my face in them with a sigh. I gave her one last soft kiss on her head as she began humming me to sleep, wrapping her in my arms, and the new foreign emotion as I finally drifted off. When the alarm went off, I didn't want to pull away, so I just fucking rolled us both over with a groan. She rolled on top of me, nuzzling into my chest, as all her curls covered my neck and throat, while I subjected the alarm clock to all my hatred. She tried to look up at me while she was on my chest, but all her shiny fucking curls were in her face, making it impossible for her to see. I chuckled drowsily, and lifted a hand from around her waist, to smooth all the curls away. She gazed into my eyes for a moment, before a smile lit her face. And I just fucking smiled back with a shrug. I do it every fucking morning. If that smile was the first thing I see when I woke up. She shifted to get up, and then fucking froze, looking at me with wide eyes. I closed my eyes slowly, and shook my head regretfully, wishing that I hadn't chosen this position with my thin pajama pants on. Stupid fucking morning wood. I opened my eyes back, and glanced up at her with a grimace. I can't fucking help it. I grumbled sleepily, hoping that she didn't think I was some kind of fucking freak for just waking up at full attention, when nothing had called my soldier to duty. She sat motionless for a moment, and I was worried that I had offended her, or some shit. But then, God fucking bless her, she just fucking smiled at me and chuckled while she lifted herself out of bed. I rolled my eyes and began running my fingers through my hair, as she shuffled to the bathroom snickering at me softly. When she came back out and began packing up all her things, I rolled out of bed. I didn't usually do that until she left, but I wanted to give her a real kiss to start the day. So I waited for her, as she dropped my cookies off on the bedside table. When she turned around and saw me standing at the French doors waiting for her, she looked a little shocked. Probably because I had a hard time even fucking functioning at this ungodly hour. I smiled crookedly at her and leaned against the wall beside the door, as she shuffled her way over to me wearing a big fucking smile. When she was close enough, I grabbed her face, and brought her lips to mine. It was then that I remembered how all my morning cheek kisses used to make me feel fucking terrible. So I gripped her face tighter, and poured the new emotion into the kiss. When she pulled away, her eyes were alight with happiness in a way that made the new emotion swell and surge within me as I stroked her cheeks. Without another word, I opened the door for her, and watched as she stepped out onto the balcony, with all those tangled and shiny fucking curls blowing every which way, in the rainy breeze, and I kind of fucking frowned at the thought of my girl out in all that cold rain. But she climbed over the railing, and down the lattice so quickly that I didn't even have time to voice my concerns. I drove to Jasper's still on a Bella/new foreign emotion high. When he got in the car looking all fucking grumpy, and still worn out from the New Year's bash, I thanked him for the brand and diversionary tactic that night. I wrestled with the idea of telling him about the new foreign emotion, and all the tugging, but then worried that it might commit us to having sleepovers, and braiding each other's hair, as we discussed our feelings. Fuck that shit. And as I pulled into school that morning, I realized where I fucked up. I spotted my girl standing alone in the parking lot while Brandon greeted Jasper with a rather skanky enthusiasm that nearly made me retch. And the tugging was there full fucking force, at seeing her standing alone in the rain and knowing that I couldn't go to her. It seemed so fucking weird to me that I was having this tugging. I was wondering if it was this bad, then what would it feel like if it were love? And how the fuck did Bella handle something so strong? I tried my best to shrug it off and walk to first period, feeling shittier by the minute. I spent my first 2 classes focusing on the work, and being grateful that the tugging wasn't so bad, when I couldn't see her. Then on my way to third period I passed her in the quad. She was walking towards me with her hood up and her head down. And she fucking felt me coming like always, because her